come up. Yeah. I'm on the come up. Yeah. On the Come Up by Angie Thomas is what we're talking about today. So hi everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is India, and like I said, today we'll be talking about On the Come Up by Angie Thomas. But before we get started, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit that bell notification down below so that way you never miss anything. So I feel like this video is going to be short, but who knows, it also might be really long. I don't know. I feel like I've got a lot to say and a little to say about this book. So first, let me just tell you what it's about. This is Angie Thomas's second book following Thug, and this book follows Bree in the same neighborhood that Thug was in, Garden Heights, but it is not, or I don't view it as a companion novel, and I don't believe that Thomas does either, but it does just feature the same neighborhood. But none of the characters from Thug are on the come up. So that's why I don't picture it as a companion. But anyway, it follows Bree through Garden Heights, and Bree has a dream of being a fantastic rapper when she grows up, or right now if she can. If she can have it now, she'll take it now. But what she wants to do is she wants to be in music, and she really wants to rap and throw some bars around and just do a whole bunch of stuff, right? She's only in high school, and I don't even think she's 16 yet. She might be, she's about that age, 15, 16 years old. And through her time in Garden Heights, if you read Thug, then you know Garden Heights is a low, impoverished neighborhood that is run by, not necessarily run, but it does have gang violence, drugs, just a low income neighborhood that Bree is living in. But Bree's mother, who was addicted to drugs, but has been clean now for years, Bree's mother sends her away, or sends her to school outside of the school, to the music school, or the art school in the area. Not the same school that Star goes to in Thug, but somewhere in between. Something that doesn't have tuition, but is not the local public school of the neighborhood. It's somewhere where she can still get a good education, and her best friends also go there as well. And so when Bree was younger, her father was a well-known rapper in the community and participated in the battles that go on, in the rap battles that happen in the community. And so people thought he was a legend. And so now everyone calls her Little Law, because his name was Lawless, for his rap name. And so now everybody calls her Little Law, even though she hates it and just wants to have her own name, but she does miss her father. And so in the beginning of the book starts off with her in SAT prep, because school is important, SAT prep, and she cannot focus for the life of her because she's waiting to hopefully get invited to the rap battles that happen in this book. And after she has to have a long conversation with her teacher on how her grades are slipping, she finds out that she is invited. And so from there, she goes and she gets to make her debut performance, in which she chokes. But then makes a comeback, but she still chokes. All this is like in the very beginning of the book. So it's not a spoiler. But from there, she feels like her rap career is going to take off because everybody loved it. Okay? And she has her Aunt Pooh, who is her unofficial manager of her rap business, because her mom, if she knew all of this was really happening, I mean, she does know what's happening, but her mom isn't 100% on board. And as long as she's doing well in school, her mom is okay with her pursuing or using rapping as her hobby. Maybe not pursuing rap as a career, but pursuing it as a hobby. As long as she's doing well in school, right? So through all that, Bree, after that, makes a single. She makes her own single, and she talks about some things in her single that she shouldn't be talking about. Only problem is Aunt Pooh left her to go handle her business. And so she didn't have anyone there to really tell her not to do that at the time. And so she records it, she has it, and she doesn't release it to the world yet. But her dad's old manager gets, how do I phrase this? And so, well, she doesn't release it to the world yet. When Aunt Pooh finally hears it, she tells her to delete that shit immediately. Because it's talking about violence, talking about guns, talking about being strapped like backpacks, quote. And Bree's not about that life. And she doesn't understand her words have consequences and actions. And, but she doesn't listen. She doesn't listen. Instead, she listens to her dad's old manager. Where are my highlights? Ugh. Listen to it on Audible, so I don't have enough highlights. But she managed to listen to her dad's old manager and ends up releasing it on the internet after one of her best friends says that it was awesome, but one of her best friends says that it's a lie of who she is, and she's perpetuating a someone whom she's not. And he tries to explain to her that words have consequences and actions, but she's like, there's a deeper meaning behind it all, and if they can't see it, that's not my fault. And so that's her problem. But she releases it to the internet, and from there she does get a lot of views, but not all views are good views, and it starts a whole mess of things in this book for Bree, for the neighborhood, and for her friends and family. A lot of other things happen in this book, but that's kind of like the overarching theme and the overarching storyline of this book. And it's because a lot of other things happen in this book that I only gave this book 3 stars. I was surprised I only gave it 3 stars because it was not as fantastic as Thug. Thug only focused on one issue, and I really like that, of police brutality, or 2 issues, police brutality and our black men, on our unarmed black men with police officers, right? This book focused on too much, or I can't even say it focused. It brought up too many themes and topics without spending enough time or information or even offering resolutions to these topics. I'm going to try not to spoil the book for you, because it's still good. It's just not great. And after reading Thug, I just felt like she really brought home some points, and I didn't feel like she brought home points in this book. I felt like, just like with Bree, she was focusing too much on the rap career that Bree wanted and not on the underlying messages. Like, one of the messages that I've already hinted at is words have meaning and words have actions. And just because you have a realization behind something doesn't mean the people who are listening to your words or reading your words know what you're trying to say or know what you mean. They only know the words that you're spitting out. And if you are insinuating that you are always carrying as a child, you're out here in these streets, you are willing to roll up on somebody who come in for your family or for your life, like, that all means something. It means something to the gang affiliates in your neighborhood who are now going to come after you. And it also means something to the white majority who are saying that your music is too violent and you shouldn't be around my children. Okay? And that was a major hot button issue, and it was something Bree was not understanding. She was not understanding her family and her friends who were saying, delete that, don't put that out there, that's not who you are. You're already an amazing rapper who has amazing content, but you don't need to pretend to be somebody else. If you want to talk about being in the streets but not being from the streets, like, or wait, let me say that other way. If you want to talk about being from the streets but not being in the streets, then talk about that without implying that you are in these streets. And she wasn't getting it. She was getting defensive and she wasn't understanding. She wasn't learning. She just wasn't getting it. Even at the end of the book, you felt like she might have learned something, but she really didn't. You didn't hear her understand or have a revelation. Like, she had one revelation when a 5-year-old and a 6-year-old are spitting out her words and her music to her, talking about being strapped in these streets. And she's like, oh my God, I never thought a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old would be saying my words. And now it sounds violent, crazy. Am I contributing to the round robin circle of impoverished neighborhoods? And yes, you are. Because now you have this little boy who already looked up to her, thinking that who already believes that he's a part of, or already wants to be affiliated with a gang at like 8 years old. And your song isn't helping to prove to him that he doesn't need to do that. He doesn't need to be around that. And she doesn't get that. And then going to the next topic, Angie Thomas does bring up the round robin circle of not being able to get out of these neighborhoods. How just like her brother, which her brother is a prime example of, he left home, went to college, has a degree, but now can't afford to go get a master's because he has to come home and help his mom take care of the house because his mom can't find steady work because she's a recovered drug addict. His mom can't find steady work, and the only job he can find is minimum wage paying jobs, and it keeps them behind on their rent, their bills. They get their power turned off, and it's just an unending cycle of how this boy who did everything right, worked hard, got to school, had to come back, and now is in a cycle of trying to pay the bills. And he's trying to do everything above board and do everything legally. Unlike, while on the other hand, the drug dealers in his neighborhood are out here with lots of cash, lots of money, doing everything illegally, but are living a lot better than their family is. But even though they're living better, they won't make it out of their area just by making money, though. They still don't have the education, the wherewithal, and most of them will end up in jail or dead. And that's something that they don't want for their family, which is totally, believable. I mean, I wouldn't want to end up in jail or dead either. But all of that is just another thing she talks about. She talks about that doesn't get resolved. We don't know what happens to Bree's brother, and if he decides to move on, move up, like what happens. On the other side of her family is Aunt Pooh. Aunt Pooh deals drugs. She doesn't use drugs, but she deals drugs in order to make money. She's been in Garden Heights her entire life, and now she's dealing drugs in order to make money and pay her bills and to help even Bree and her family have money to buy groceries. But it's all done with drug money. But Pooh is in these streets, and she's willing to do whatever it takes to help her family and save her family. All of that stemming from her own PTSD with Bree's father being shot and killed, and now her feeling like there's no way out but to get revenge. But we don't do enough talking about that either in the book. Another thing that is brought up is police in schools and metal detectors and police searching our children, and basically school feeling like a prison now and not with a place of learning, and how Bree ends up being thrown to the ground by police and searched, saying that she was being non-compliant with the officers, which was filmed completely. And how though they suspended the officers for a bit, the officers did get their job back. That might be a spoiler. The officers did come back, and there really wasn't a solution brought to the parents who had concerns about this, and there wasn't a solution in the book on what happened. Like, did they get to keep their jobs? I mean, they were back, but did they end up really keeping their jobs? Did they ever get fired again? Did something ever happen in that school again? Because another thing that got brought up in the town hall meeting with parents was how all of the black and brown kids are treated like criminals when they walk through those doors, while their white counterparts are not treated the same way. How the black and brown kids are being sent to the office 10 times more than the white kids by doing even less than the white kids are doing. By maybe just disagreeing with the comment, they're immediately seen as aggressive and antagonistic and are sent to the office. While you can have a full-on argument with one of the white kids in the school and they wouldn't be sent to the office. So it's still just another thing that is brought up, but we didn't see a resolution to it. We didn't even see a suggestion on how we fix that in our schools or how we fix that in our communities. And I'm speaking so fast and I'm sorry. But all of these things happen in this book and I just didn't like how they just ended. The book started off strong with point, hit, point, hit. But it didn't finish strong. It just kind of dropped off. It was like, okay, well, we brought all that up. So I guess notice it in your lives or in your community. Like, just notice it. And then it didn't give you anything to go off of. It didn't give you anything that felt like closure. You didn't finish the book feeling like you had closure, whether it be good closure or bad closure. It just felt like, is there more? Are there more pages after that? Is there more for me to listen to? Because I ended up really starting it on my Kindle, but I loved listening to it on Audible, just because you got to really listen to the verses and stuff and everything that was happening. But it just didn't finish well, and that frustrated me. That frustrated me to no end, and that's why I only gave 3 stars. Like, there was no resolve to any of the things, and she probably brought up more themes and things, but she definitely did, but there were so many themes and issues in this book that not one got a true focus on. She wove them in and out together for some of them, but none of them were really focused on, and that was frustrating as a reader. I'm like, well, I want to talk about these police in schools and how we were treating our brown kids in schools. I want to talk about that. But we're not going to talk about it anymore. Like, you have kids rallying together to speak up for themselves, but we don't really get more of that either. We have a superintendent who has his own past, who seems like he might be doing more, but we drop off of that. Just a lot was going on, and I didn't like it. I liked the book, but I didn't like how it ended, and that was an issue for me. But anyway, let me know what you think of On the Come Up, because I could keep going back and forth here for a while with this book. So let me know what you think. Because I was listening to it, I really didn't get to take many notes on this book. Like, normally when I'm reading on my Kindle or in a book, I'll take notes or at least highlight throughout things that I want to mention or names to talk about. So yeah, just let me know what you think down below in the comments. My memory card got full somehow. I haven't dumped anything in forever. But anyway, so I had to switch. So let me know what you think down below. I do want to know. And because there was definitely some discussion that when I posted it on Instagram. And I want to know what you guys think. So anyway, that's it for me. Follow me on all the social medias, because sometimes I do post when I finish a book faster on Instagram than I do over here. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit that bell notification button so you never miss anything. And until next time, keep turning the pages.